I saw her smile at him just as I turned to walk away, and something in my chest broke, a quiet, sharp crack I couldn't ignore. It was a smile meant for someone else, and though I tried to pretend it didn't matter, my hands tightened into fists, my jaw locked, and my feet refused to move forward. I wanted to disappear from that moment, from that scene, from the betrayal that hung in the air like smoke I couldn't breathe through. I had been in the cafe that afternoon for what I thought would be a simple, ordinary meeting, a coffee break from work, a chance to clear my head. She had told me she'd be out running errands, picking up supplies for the new apartment she insisted we needed to refresh our lives. I didn't question it. I had grown used to trusting her, even when trust should have been tempered with caution. Love, I told myself. Faith in the person I married, in the woman who had once whispered promises in my ear that felt like sunlight. And then I saw her. Her laughter floated across the room, a warm, bright sound that used to make my chest lift, now cutting me down like glass. She was leaning slightly toward him, her hand brushing against his in a way that would have been innocent if it were just anyone else, but the way she looked at him, the tilt of her head, the spark in her eyes, was something I had never seen directed at me. I froze mid-step, my bag slipping from my shoulder to the floor, the thud sounding impossibly loud in the quiet corner of the cafe. He was smiling back, a small, knowing smile, like a secret had just been shared and it wasn't meant for anyone else. My mind went blank, the air around me thick. I wanted to shout, to storm in and tear her apart with words, to demand why, but my legs refused. I turned, trying to leave before my presence ruined the moment, before the laughter I loved hearing became something foreign and cruel. And then she called me. Her voice rang in the hallway outside the cafe before I could even answer. "Honey! Wait!" I stopped, chest heaving, the betrayal burning a raw path down my throat. My instinct was to keep walking, to escape before I did something I would regret. But a part of me, a part that still loved her despite the fracture in my soul, slowed my steps, pulled me toward the doorway as if gravity itself were tugging at my heart. I saw you," I said finally, my voice rough like I'd swallowed sand. "With him." Her eyes widened, not with shame or guilt but with something that twisted my stomach. Recognition. And then quickly, a forced innocence, a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Oh, that. No, it's nothing, just a friend from work." I laughed, though it wasn't a happy sound. It was hollow, bitter, a sound I barely recognized as my own. A friend from work smiles like that. My hands shook, the words spilling out before I could control them. Leaned in like that, laughed like that. "Do you realize how that looks?" She took a step closer and I flinched. "Come on, it's not what you think," she said. Her voice was smooth, practiced, but I heard the hesitation, the slight hitch in her rhythm. My heart thumped painfully, hoping against hope that maybe, just maybe, she was telling the truth. "Not what I think," I echoed, incredulous. "I saw you, Sarah. I saw your smile, the way you looked at him. That's not how you look at friends." She sighed, a long, deliberate exhale, as if she were bearing some heavy truth. "I didn't mean. I wasn't thinking." "Thinking?" Snap. "You weren't thinking. Or you just don't care." Her eyes softened then, but it wasn't the softness that once drew me in. It was a calculated softness, the kind that makes someone dangerous when they wield it carelessly. "I care," she whispered. "I care about you." I wanted to believe her. God, I wanted to. But the evidence was all around me, burned into my vision, etched into the memory of how she looked at him like I was invisible, like I was already gone. I turned away, walking slowly, almost mechanically, toward the car. The city outside was harsh and indifferent, the sunlight glaring off the wet pavement, and every step I took felt like walking through a storm I didn't want to survive. "You followed me." "Please don't go yet," she said. "Let me explain." I stopped at the curb, my hands gripping the steering wheel so hard it hurt. "Explain what?" I asked, my voice a whisper now, fragile and raw. "Explain why I'm not enough for you. Why he is." "It's not like that," she said quickly, but I had already stopped listening. My thoughts were a spiral, dizzying, spinning out of control. Memories of our years together flashed. Our first apartment, the late-night drives where we talked about nothing and everything, the quiet Sunday mornings, the fights we survived, the laughter that used to fill our home. Every memory was now tinged with betrayal, with the unmistakable ache of being replaced in her affections, if only for a fleeting moment. I started the car, my hands shaking. I think you already answered the question for me. Please just hear me out, she said, stepping closer to the car. Her perfume, once comforting, now felt suffocating. I made a mistake. Meant nothing. I swear. Nothing. I echoed, my voice barely audible over the engine. You call the way you looked at him nothing. She flinched but didn't look away. I was lonely, she admitted softly, her voice trembling. I felt ignored. And he made me feel seen. I didn't think about what it would do to us. I pulled out of the curb, the tires squealing against the asphalt. My heart was a knot of rage and sorrow, pounding so hard I could barely think. So this is my fault now, I said, more to myself than her. Because I was working too much. Because I wasn't enough. She didn't answer. She couldn't. And I didn't wait for one. The drive home was a blur. Each street, each familiar corner, felt alien, as though the city itself had conspired to betray me along with her. When I opened the door to our apartment, the silence hit me like a physical blow. It was too quiet, too ordinary, and yet it screamed in my ears. I dropped my bag, slumped into the sofa, and let the tears come, the ones I had fought back for hours. She followed, cautiously, guilt etched into every line of her face. I'm sorry, she whispered again. I never wanted to hurt you. I looked at her then, really looked, and saw not the woman I married but a stranger with familiar eyes. You already did, I said, my voice steady now, empty and cold. You already broke us. Days passed in a daze. I went to work, came home, and tried to live in the same space as her without acknowledging the rupture between us. But silence is a language all its own, and ours screamed louder than any argument ever could. I watched her, hoping for signs of regret, of shame, of anything that could make this human bearable. But the more I looked, the more I saw that part of her was gone, the part that had once loved me with a careless, reckless joy that had drawn me in from the very start. One night I found a message on her phone. I wasn't snooping, at least I told myself that, but there it was, bright against the screen. A message from him, casual, familiar, full of the kind of words you use with someone you're building a connection with. My chest tightened, a lead weight pressing down on my ribs. My hands shook so badly I had to put the phone down. I didn't confront her that night. Couldn't. I sat in the living room, the hum of the refrigerator filling the apartment, and thought about how easily love could be shattered. How fragile trust was once broken, how quickly someone you built your life with could become a stranger. The confrontation came the next evening. I asked her to sit down with me at the kitchen table, the place where we had shared countless meals, countless laughs, countless plans. She looked at me with that same calculated softness, the one I had despised and feared. I know what's been happening, I said quietly. I saw you. I know about the messages. I don't need your excuses, Sarah. She looked away, finally, and something in her posture changed. No more defenses, no more rehearsed lines. I don't know what to say, she admitted. I never meant for this to. It just happened. I leaned back, the chair creaking under me. It happened because you let it. Because you chose it, for whatever reason. Her eyes filled with tears, and for a moment I saw the girl I had loved, the woman who had made my world feel brighter. But it was too late. The damage had been done. The foundation of US, built over years, had been cracked, and cracks like that never truly heal. I love you, she said, her voice breaking. I really do. But I understand if you can't forgive me. I looked at her, at the woman I had trusted with everything, and felt the finality of it. The unbearable weight of knowing that love alone cannot repair what has been broken by choice, by betrayal, by a smile meant for someone else. I loved you too, I said softly. Once. But love doesn't change what you did. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just stood up, walked to the door and left. Outside, the city was indifferent, and the night air was sharp against my skin, a cruel reminder that life moves forward even when your heart feels like it has stopped. I didn't know if she would follow. I didn't care. The trust was gone. The warmth, the familiarity, the bond we shared. All of it had been replaced by something else, something I couldn't name, something I couldn't forgive. I drove aimlessly that night, through streets lit by orange street lamps, past the places we had walked hand in hand, past the cafes and bookstores, past the corner where we had first kissed. Every familiar sight felt foreign now, every memory poisoned by the knowledge that she had given herself, even for a moment, to someone else. When I returned home, the apartment was empty, the shadows long, the silence louder than ever. I sat on the edge of the bed, feeling the emptiness press against me. And for the first time I understood the full weight of betrayal, not as an idea, not as a rumor, but as a lived, crushing experience. The heartache, the disbelief, the slow-burning grief that comes from realizing the person you loved most has already found a piece of themselves somewhere else. I didn't know if I would ever forgive her. I didn't know if I would ever trust again. But I knew one thing. I had survived the moment, had stared into the abyss of betrayal, and had not fallen apart entirely. I had seen the truth, faced it, and now, in the quiet of that apartment, I could finally begin to imagine a life beyond it. Her voice still lingered in my ears sometimes, the soft pleading, the attempt to explain. But the smile, the one that had undone me, that had shattered everything we had built, was gone. And I understood then, with a clarity that hurt, that some betrayals are not meant to be fixed, some hearts not meant to remain together, and some love not meant to survive the moment it falters. I took a deep breath, feeling the night air cool against my skin, and for the first time in weeks, I allowed myself a small, tentative hope, that one day I might smile again. Not for her, not for anyone else, but for myself. Because some betrayals leave scars, yes, but they also leave survivors. And I was still here,